and I wouldn't want Luffy to win the way he was fighting now. Hello, and thank you for tuning in for my review of the One Piece chapters 1044 and 1045. So I think these two chapters, I just wanted to do them in a bulk together. I think they gave us some clearance on Luffy's devil fruit and where this is gonna go with the current rate, with the situation. So it looked like Luffy was defeated. It looked like the theory of the rate failing would come true. It looked like this was it. A lot of the characters, even through they won their respective battle, like Kid and Law, like Zoro and Sanji, were all at the end. They were on the ground, and it was only Luffy's battle that was still open. And it seemed like Luffy lost that through having been grabbed by the CP0 guy. But no, it turned out that Luffy is still fine. He's sound and safe, still kicking. And we got clarification on his devil fruit. So it is actually, surprise surprise, not a gum fruit. It's not a paramecia devil fruit. It's actually even a Zoan devil fruit of the Hito no Mi. So human fruit, model Nika. And that confirms he is Joy Boy, but also Sun God Nika, pretty much. So we can assume that the historical figure, or that alluded person, Sun God Nika, has in the past as well been the very same person as Joy Boy. And this was something that many fans had theorized before, and I can live with that. I think Luffy has always been played out to be a bit special. Maybe not from the very beginning. I think my gut tells me that Oda had less of a destined, less of a special role for Luffy, but probably was planning to keep Luffy be that ridiculous guy that keeps winning fights and keeps improving through creativity and through his own efforts, and just brute forcing through with his ability, with his gum fruit. And I think that has been the majority of the show, of the manga, that Luffy always improved through his versatile use of a devil fruit that never seemed so special. And now we learn that his devil fruit is pretty much the most special devil fruit. But I can live with that. That's not what gave me what made me dislike the recent chapters. I had the feeling that Luffy's abilities of his Nika abilities were just a tiny bit too goofy. It was just a bit over the top. I felt like I'm reading or watching Looney Tunes, and I get Oda was joking around and playing with that idea that this is a devil fruit which grants Luffy ultimate freedom by not just extending and twisting his own body like gum, like rubber, but by applying his weird abilities to objects around him. And I thought for the first chapter, for chapter 1044, that was kind of fun, kind of entertaining. And I was hoping that Luffy would return to a more serious tone, that it would be like a that it would be the battle that we fans deserved, on equal terms, Luffy and Kaido battling it out, an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth, and whatnot. But we didn't get that. And again, I hope these two chapters serve the purpose of showcasing Luffy's newfound versatility by not just being creative with his body, by being creative with his environment and showing that there are practically no limits. But I really hope that Oda moves back from these cartoonish effects, like the eye popping out and the double image when something's moving pretty fast, or like Luffy dashing in the air and leaving a trail of an extended dust cloud, like a chemtrail behind him, while his legs were like two propellers, like rotating. I'm not a huge fan of that over-the-top goofiness, and yeah, I'm gonna say it for the third time, but I really hope the next chapters move away from that. Aside from that, I think, yeah, it has to be, to put something against that, my criticism, I feel like I have to highlight that overall I really enjoy the current arc. It might be on my way to be my favorite arc. I really love Kaido. I think he is probably the greatest antagonist, and with that I don't mean as an obstacle that Luffy has to overcome. I don't mean him as a Yonko, as an Emperor of the Seas, as the strongest opponent that Luffy has faced. I don't mean that, but I mean as a character. With his personality, I think Kaido is just so intriguing, and he makes it seem like he knows way more, and he's not a stupid guy. Like, he understood pretty quickly that his devil fruit showed characteristics that should have been unusual for a paramecia. He called it out himself, that it looked more like a Zoan devil fruit. Way more of interest than Luffy's fight to Kaido was the information that we were given by the Gorosei, by the 5 elders, who were also giving us some information on the devil fruit, but also the other situations surrounding Luffy, especially the situation with Hiyori, aka Komurasaki, still being together with Orochi, buried by the rubble. And it turns out he can't utilize his ability, his devil fruit ability, because she pierced him with I forgot, a needle or a nail made out of sea stone, making Orochi immobile, making him unable to free himself from the rubble. And we saw again that Orochi, when he's not having a winning series, when he's not on the winning side but he's on the losing side, when he has the shorter end of the stick, he's just an embarrassment. He's not strong, not physically and not in character. He's not a strong personality. He's a weak character that relies on deception, trickery, and on Kaido, who was begging for his life to Hiyori, the daughter of the man whom Orochi ruined most and foremost. And it was interesting that the fire yokai returned to Orochi only to burn Orochi instead of following out Orochi's orders. That might leave some room for interpretation whether or not the fire yokai was in a state where it didn't follow Orochi's orders because it was just too weak, it just wanted to connect with Orochi. Or maybe because the yokai, through his master who conjured him, Kanjuro, actually harbored some kind of resentment towards Orochi. We've seen Kanjuro playing a double game. Him being a kabuki actor, that was his role for the story, for the current arc, to betray Momonosuke and the heroes. And he seemed to make it clear that he had no heart for Momonosuke. He only was playing his part to see Oden and Momonosuke, the Kozuki clan, to see them fail, and he was just doing his act. But my feeling tells me that all this time he spent together with Oden, the retainers, and also as a guardian for Momonosuke, I think this time this did not went past him without leaving an impression. And maybe Kanjuro was playing a double act. Maybe him betraying, even if just in the last minute, became the act. So he made it out as if betraying Momonosuke was the act, and he would side with Orochi unconditionally. But maybe we the readers were fooled again, and actually he played his act in betraying Momonosuke, just on the side, a small theory that whether or not it's gonna come true, whatever the role of Kanjuro is in the future and how he will be framed in the future, I think for the greater picture, that will be mostly irrelevant. But Orochi, I think, is not irrelevant, and I think Orochi, him being there buried under the rubble and burning from the fire yokai, that will not be the last of him. That will not be the last of what we the readers see of Orochi. I predict Orochi still has his part to play. And I predicted in my previous video, I stated my theory that I see Orochi to be the final true villain, the final true obstacle in Wano Kuni. And I elaborated on that theory in my previous video, that this is based on the Japanese mythology revolving around the founding gods, and specifically one of their 3 children, Susanoo, who was a warrior and the god who walked earth, and came across an 8-headed serpent who was eating 7 daughters and was about to have the 8th daughter sacrificed to him, that was made drunk by sake and then slain by Susanoo, making Susanoo the hero of the story. And in the midst of the slain body of Orochi, a legendary sword was found, a mythological sword that supposedly still is in the possession of the family of the Japanese emperor, the Tenno. A sword that, along with 2 other treasures, so in total as a part of 3 treasures, is handed down to the next emperor when the old one steps down and the new accepts the throne, so to say. Japan's emperors don't really have a political power after World War II, but still that sword still very relevant. And Orochi in One Piece, who had eaten a devil fruit, a snake devil fruit, Zoan type, model Yamata no Orochi, named after the mythological creature, the 8-headed serpent from the story, and also Orochi's name himself being Orochi. So he plays that role from that story in One Piece, and playing that role, his part is not played yet. I think we haven't seen him slain, and we haven't seen him reveal a sword, or at least make one of the existing swords in consequence of him being slain with it important. So, to reiterate my theory, Orochi is gonna be slain. He's gonna be the main obstacle after the fight with Kaido, and we will see the heroes, Luffy, but possibly other characters, banding together to fight Orochi as the final enemy of Wano Kuni, as the final threat to the capital, to the freedom. And we will see someone taking on the role of Susanoo. And I see 2 characters most fitting for that role. That should be either Zoro or Momonosuke. And whoever it is that will slay ultimately Orochi will either A, make a new sword come into existence, or B, make one of the already existing swords, a sword in their respective possession, relevant. Who it's gonna be, Zoro or Momonosuke? Zoro already had his fight King, his big showdown. So one might say this he already checked his box for a big fight. Momonosuke, on the other hand, did not have that yet. On the other hand, is Momonosuke a fighter capable of taking on Orochi in his 8-headed serpent form? I think there are arguments for both, but I believe it will be either one of these two characters. So leave me a comment if you like, if you watch that video and come across it, and you find that intriguing, that theory. Leave me a comment what you think, whether it would be, what do you think would be better, and what do you think is more likely? Do you think it will be Zoro or it will be Momonosuke to take the final cut on Orochi? So that's it with my review for this chapter. I didn't want to go over each individual page this month. I think in terms of panels, what we got, in terms of what was the highlight of the last two chapters, it was obviously Luffy with his cartoony fight with Kaido, and I think it will show next chapter how his abilities fare in a serious fight once maybe Kaido adjusts to Luffy's abilities, and once Luffy might take less of a silly but more serious approach to utilizing his new abilities. And I wouldn't want Luffy to win the way he was fighting now. And actually I don't expect that. I expect for the next chapter, chapter 1046, I expect the fight to return to a serious tone, and I expect both characters to go up a notch in what they put into the fight. I expect Luffy to get a bit more serious, but I also expect Kaido to be a bit more serious. And I expect the conclusion, the final, ultimate conclusion to their battle very, very soon. Possibly next chapter. I think probably in the next 2 to 3 chapters. So I will not give the fight the way it currently presents itself more than 3 chapters. I think there are not enough side plots, enough side stories to divert attention, to have Oda spend panels on other stories, on other situations resolving around the other characters on Onigashima, but there's only Luffy left, so he's gonna have to focus on Luffy because there's not much else. And I think he can't drag it out any longer, and not the way this fight presents itself, with both of them being so exhausted. So the resolution, the conclusion of the fight, next chapter, or at least in the next 2 to 3 chapters. And for my long-term prediction, past the fight of Luffy and Kaido, I expect the fight with Luffy and Kaido to not be the end. I expect Luffy to win at this point, yes. But I don't expect this to be the end. I don't expect this to be the final showdown of Wano Kuni. Luffy versus Kaido is not the finale. It's not the final confrontation. There's gonna be more. And I think we haven't reached peak drama yet. Stay tuned, stay with me. Thank you for watching and goodbye.